Prologue. This day winding down now, at God-speeded summer's end, in the torrent salmon sun, in my sea-shaken house, on a breakneck of rocks, tangled with chirrup and fruit, froth, flute, fin and quill at a wood's dancing hoof, by scummed starfish sands with their fishwife cross, gulls, pipers, cockles and sails, out there crow-black men tackled with clouds who kneel to the sunset nets, geese nearly in heaven, boys stabbing and herons and shells that speak seven seas, eternal waters away from the cities of nine, day's night whose towers will catch in the religious wind like stalks of tall dry straw. That poor peace I sing to you strangers, though song is a burning and crested act, the fire of birds in the world's turning wood for my sawn splay sounds, out of these sea-thumbed leaves that will fly and fall like leaves of trees, and as soon crumble and undie into the dog-dayed night. Seaward the salmon-sucked sun slips, and the dumb swans drub blue my dabbed bay's dusk as I hack this rumpus of shapes. For you to know how I, a spinning man, glory also this star, bird, roared, sea-born, man-torn, blood-blessed. Hark! I trumpet the place, from fish to jumping hill. Look! I build my bellowing ark to the best of my love, as the flood begins, out of the fountainhead of fear, rage red, man alive, molten and mountainous to stream over the wound asleep sheep white hollow farms. To whales in my arms who there in castle keep, you king sing-song owls who moonbeam, the flickering runs and dive, the dingled fur deer dead. Halloo on plumbed brines, O my ruffled ring dove, in the hooting, nearly dark with Welsh and reverent rook, coo-rooing the wood's praise, who moons her blue notes from her nest, down to the curlew herd, O hullabelonging clan, agape with woe, in your beaks on the gabbing capes, hey on horseback hill, Jack, whisking hair, who hears there this foxlight, my flood ship's clangor, as I hew and smite a clash of anvils for my hubbub and fiddle this tune on a tongued puffball. But animals thick as thieves on God's rough tumbling grounds, hail to his beasthood, beasts who sleep good and thin, hissed in hog's-backed woods, the hay-stacked hollow farms in a throng of waters cluck and cling, and barn roofs cock-crow war. O kingdom of neighbours, finned, felled and quilled, flash to my patch. Work ark in the moonshine, drinking Noah of the bay, with pelt and scale and fleece, only the drowned deep bells of sheep and churches noise. Poor peace as the sun sets, and dark shoals every holy field. We shall ride out alone, and then under the stars of Wales cry multitudes of arcs across the water-lidded lands. Manned with their loves they'll move, like wooden islands hill to hill. Halloo, my proud dove with a flute. Ahoy, old sea-legged fox. Tom tit and die mouse, my ark sings in the sun at God-speeded summer's end, and the flood flowers now. hand that signed the paper. The hand that signed the paper felled the city. 5 sovereign fingers taxed the breath, doubled the globe of dead and halved a country. These 5 kings did a king to death. The mighty hand leads to a sloping shoulder. The finger joints are cramped with chalk. A goose's quill has put an end to murder that put an end to talk. The hand that signed the treaty bred a fever, and famine grew and locusts came. Great is the hand that holds dominion over man by a scribbled name. The 5 kings count the dead, but do not soften the crusted wound nor stroke the brow. A hand rules pity as a hand rules heaven. Hands have no tears to flow. A winter's tale. It is a winter's tale that the snow-blind twilight ferries over the lakes and floating fields from the farm in the cup of the vales, gliding windless through the hand-folded flakes, the pale breath of cattle after stealthy sail. And the stars falling cold, and the smell of hay in the snow, and the far owl warning among the folds and the frozen holes, flocked with the sheet-white smoke of the farmhouse cow, in the river-wended vales where the tale was told. Once when the world turned old, on a star of faith, pure as the drifting bread, as the food and flames of the snow, a man unrolled the scrolls of fire that burned in his heart and head. Torn and alone in a farmhouse in a fold of fields and burning then, in his violet island ringed by the winged snow, and the dunghills white as wool, and the hen, roost sleeping chill till the flame of the cock crow combed through the mantled yards, and the morning men stumbled out with their spades, the cattle stirring, the mousing cat stepping shy, the puffed birds hopping and hunting, the milkmaids gentle in their clogs over the fallen sky, and all the woken farm at its white trades. He knelt, he wept, he prayed, by the spit and the black pot in the long bright light, and the cup and the cut bread in the dancing shade, in the muffled house in the quick of night, at the point of love forsaken and afraid. He knelt on the cold stones, he wept from the crest of grief, he prayed to the veiled sky, may his hunger go howling on bare white bones, past the statues of the stables and the sky-roofed sties, and the duck pond glass and the blinding byres alone, into the home of prayers and fires where he should prowl down the cloud of his snow-blind love and rush in the white lairs. His naked need struck him howling and bowed, though no sound flowed down the hand-folded air. But only the wind strung hungry birds in the fields with the bread of water tossed in high corn and the harvest melting on their tongues, and his nameless need bound him burning and lost, when cold as snow he should run the wended vales among them. The rivers mouthed in night and drown in the drifts of his need, and lie curled caught in the always desiring centre of the white, inhuman cradle, and the bride bed forever sought by the believer lost and the hurled outcast of light. Deliver him, he cried, by losing him all in love, and cast his need, alone and naked, in the engulfing bride, never to flourish in the fields of the white seed, or flower under the time-dying flesh astride. Listen, The minstrels sing in the departed villages, the nightingale, dust in the buried wood, flies on the grains of her wings, and spells on the winds of the dead his winter's tale. The voice of the dust of water from the withered spring is telling the wizened stream with bells and baying water bounds. The dew rings on the gristed leaves, and the long gone glistening parish of snow. The carved mouths in the rock are wind-swept strings. Time sings through the intricately dead snow drop. Listen. It was a hand or sound in the long-ago land that glided the dark door wide, and there outside on the bread of the ground, and the she-bird rose and raved like a burning bride. And she-bird dawned, and her breast with snow and scarlet downed. Look, and the dancers move on the departed, snow-bushed green, wanton in moonlight, as a dust of pigeons exalting the grave-hooved horses. Centaur dead, turn and dread the drenched white. Paddocks in the farm of birds, the dead oak walks for love. The carved limbs in the rock leap as to trumpets. Calligraphy of the old leaves is dancing. Lines of age on the stones weave in a flock, and the harp-shaped voice of the water's dust plucks in a fold of fields. For love, the long ago she-bird rises. Look, and the wild wings were raised above her folded head, and the soft feathered voice was flying through the house as though the she-bird praised. And all the elements of the slow fall rejoiced that a man knelt alone in the cup of the veil. In the mantle and calm by the spit and the black pot in the log bright light, and the sky of birds and the plumed voice charmed him up, and he ran like a wind after the kindling flight, past the blind barns and byres of the windless farm. In the poles of the year, when blackbirds died like priests in the cloaked hedgerow, and over the cloth of counties the far hills rode clear, under the one-leaved trees ran a scarecrow of snow, and fast through the drift of the thickets antlered like deer. Rags and prayers down the knee, deep hillocks and loud on the numbed legs, all night lost and long wading in the wake of the she-bird, through the times and lands and tribes of the slow flakes. Listen and look where she sails, the goose-plucked seed. The sky, the bird, the bride, the cloud, the need, the planted stars, the joy beyond, the fields of seed and the time-dying flesh astride, the heavens, the heaven, the grave, the burning font in the far-ago land, the door of his death glided wide. And the bird descended on a broad white hill over the cupped farm, and the lakes and floating fields, and the river wended, vales where he prayed to come to the last harm, and the home of prayers and fires. The tale ended. The dancing perishes on the white, no longer growing green, and minstrel dead. The singing breaks in the snowshoed villages of wishes that once cut the figures of birds on the deep bread, and over the glazed lakes skated the shapes of fishes. Flying, the right is shorn of nightingale and centaur dead horse. The springs wither back, lines of age sleep on the stone, still trumpeting dawn. Exultation lies down, time buries the spring weather that belled and bounded with the fossil and the dew reborn. For the bird lay bedded in a choir of wings as though she slept or died, and the wings glided wide, and he was hymned and wedded, and through the thighs of the engulfing bride, the woman breasted and the heaven-headed bird, he was brought low, burning in the bride bed of love, in the whirlpool at the wanting centre, in the folds of paradise, in the spun bud of the world. And she rose with him, flowering in her melting snow. Ceremony after a fire raid. 1. My cells, the grievers, grieve among the street burned to tireless death. A child of a few hours with its kneading mouth charred on the black breast of the grave the mother dug, and its arms full of fires. Begin with singing, sing. Darkness kindled back into beginning. When she caught tongue nodded blind. A star was broken into the centuries of the child. My cells grieve now, and the miracles cannot atone. Forgive us, forgive. Give us your death, that my cells, the believers, may hold it in a great flood, till the blood shall spurt and the dust shall sing like a bird, as the grains blow, as your death grows through our heart. Cry, you're dying, cry, child beyond cockcrow, by the fire-dwarfed street, we chant the flying sea, in the body bereft. Love is the last light spoken, seed of suns in the loin of the black husk left. 2. I know not whether Adam or Eve, the adorned holy bullock, or the white ewe lamb, or the chosen virgin, laid in her snow on the altar of London, was the first to die, in the cinder of the little skull. O bride and bridegroom, O Adam and Eve together, lying in the lull, under the sad breast of the headstone, white as the skeleton of the Garden of Eden. I know the legend of Adam and Eve is never for a second silent in my service. Over the dead infants, over the one child who was priest and servants, word, singers and tongue, in the cinder of the little skull, who was the serpent's. Nightfall and the fruit like a sun, man and woman undone, beginning crumbled back to darkness, bare as the nurseries of the garden of wilderness. 3. Into the organ pipes and steeples of the luminous cathedrals, into the weathercock's molten mouths, rippling in 12-winded circles, into the dead clock burning the hour, over the urn of Sabbaths, over the whirling ditch of daybreak, over the sun's hovel and the slum of fire, and the golden pavements laid in requiems, into the cauldrons of the statuary, into the bread in a wheat field of flames, into the wine burning like brandy, the masses of the sea, the masses of the sea under, the masses of the infant-bearing sea. Erupt, fountain, and enter to utter forever glory, 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 the sundering ultimate kingdom of Genesis thunder. When I was a windy boy and a bit, and the black spit of the chapel fold sighed the old ramrod dying of women, I tiptoed shy in the gooseberry wood, the rude owl cried like a tell-tale tit. I skipped in a blush as the big girls rolled, 9-pin down on the donkey's common. And on seesaw Sunday nights I wooed whoever I would with my wicked eyes, the whole of the moon I could love and leave, all the green-leaved little weddings' wives in the coal black bush, and let them grieve. When I was a gusty man and a half, and the black beast of the Beatles' pews sighed the old ramrod dying of bitches, not a boy and a bit in the wick, dipping moon and drunk as a new dropped calf, I whistled all night in the twisted flues. Midwives grew in the midnight ditches, and the sizzling beds of the town cried quick. Whenever I dove in a breast-high shoal, wherever I rammed in the clover quilts, whatsoever I did in the cold black night, I left my quivering prints. When I was a man you could call a man, and the black cross of the holy house sighed the old ramrod dying of welcome. Brandy and ripe in my bright base crime, no spring-tailed Tom in the red-hot town, with every simmering woman his mouse, but a hillocky bull in the swelter of summer, come in his great good time, to the sultry biding herds, I said. Oh, time enough when the blood creeps cold, and I lie down but to sleep in bed, for my sulking, skulking, coal-black soul. When I was a half of the man I was, and served me right as the preachers warn, sighed the old ramrod, dying of downfall. No flailing calf or cat in a flame, or hickory bull in milky grass, but a black sheep with a crumpled horn, at last the soul from its foul mouse hole. Slunk pouting out when the limp time came, and I gave my soul a blind, slashed eye, gristle and rind and Aurora's life, and I shoved it into the coal-black sky to find a woman's soul for a wife. Now, I am a man no more, and a black reward for a roaring life, sighed the old ramrod, dying of strangers. Tidy and cursed in my dove-cooed room, I laid down thin and hear the good bells jaw, for oh, my soul found a Sunday wife in the coal-black sky, and she bore angels, harpies around me out of her womb. Chastity prays for me, piety sings, innocence sweetens my last black breath, modesty hides my thighs in her wings, and all the deadly virtues plague my death. Do not go gentle into that good night. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men, their end no dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning they. Do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men near death who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.